lovelies, my name is Jessica and welcome to Makeup Misfit and welcome to day 9 of a very merry Jessmas. Today we are going to chat about my missed list. Now this is the items that I wanted to purchase over Black Friday but never did. The items I'm actually going to chat about is more of a narrowed down, finalized list of things that I wanted opposed to like everything. Basically over the week, 2 weeks, weekend, however long the sales were on for, I kind of started like taking things out of my cart, narrowing them down a little bit. So these are kind of my like finalized items of what I wanted to purchase from each brand, but still in the end never did. So I figured just sit down, chat with you guys about them and why I still never ended up purchasing them in the end. Couple of them I really wish I did, and I kind of miss the fact that I didn't, but we will get to that when we get to it. We're gonna do this brand by brand. There are a few things we're still gonna chat, so let's just get into it. So the first brand we will start off with is Gimme Glow. Now there's quite a few from this brand, probably the most from this brand, so I figured let's just get this one out of the way. But the first item that I wanted was one of their new magnetic palettes, which was released back around, it was in October. I don't know if it was before Halloween, I can't quite remember, but it's when they ended up revamping the pan size of their eyeshadows and they came out with new magnetic palettes. They were getting rid of a lot of old stock. And one of the new magnetic palettes that they came out with was the Magical Garden. Now, they came out with this one in a couple of sizes, but I wanted the 24 pan one because I have the bundle of the Nearly Natural palette by Glaminatrix, and even though I said no more singles, I wanted to keep it in a palette and like not use them as singles, but I wanted it in a really cool looking magnetic palette, since when I ended up purchasing the bundle, the palette was not an option. So I wanted to put it in a really cool looking magnetic palette, and I thought the Magical Garden would have been perfect for that. So that was one that I wanted. In the end, I ended up skipping on, which I'll explain why I pretty much ended up skipping on Gimme Glow altogether at the end of this brand. But that was one that I really wanted. I still do want it, so maybe one day in the future I will purchase it. But for now, I figured I would just leave it. Price-wise, it wasn't bad, so the deals were kind of nice. I think everything was up to like 40% off, so it was really good. But yeah, I just ended up passing on that one. The next item that I wanted was actually an eyeshadow single, even though I'm trying to stay away from them, and it's the shade Xenon, which is absolutely beautiful. I've been wanting this one for a while, and I couldn't bite the bullet and make a purchase from this brand, so I skipped it. Next, I have a couple of blushes and some highlighters. So let's chat about the blushes first, because the two blush colors that I have been wanting and craving for the last little while is a orange and a purple. Now, the orange shade that I was looking at from Gimme Glow is the shade Twin Flame. They do have one that's a little bit brighter, not so muted and rusty, called Circus, I believe. But I was looking at Twin Flame more or less because I figured it's more of like a fall kind of shade. But then I was thinking about it and I was like, I probably wouldn't wear an orange blush during the winter. That would probably be more like spring into summer. So I figured there was really no point in me purchasing it this early on, so I decided to skip on that one. And then the purple blush that I wanted, well, there was a few of them, but the one that I narrowed it down to was Queen of Glammed, which was their deep purple, which is what I have been craving and I don't have in my collection. I've just really been wanting a deep purple blush for the winter time. The closest I've ever had to that was Breath of Plum by MAC, and that was like years ago. I finished that one off couple years back, and I haven't had one since. I was looking at a couple of other ones because I still want a lilac blush. Even though I have one, I don't really use it, and I thought that maybe it's because I couldn't really see it on my skin tone, so I wanted to try another one, but I skipped that. And then there was a more muted purple, but I decided to skip on that one as well. But the deep purple is what I've been craving for the last like month or so, but I don't have it, and I can't, not that I can't find one. I know Dior has one, but I don't really want to spend the $55 dollars on it because it is expensive. It is in Canadian, so it's ridiculous, the cost of things sometimes. So I don't want to pay that. So I ended up skipping on the Queen of Glam blush as well. Then there's 3 highlighters that I wanted, and the first one is Powdered Perry, which is a very light lilac-y kind of purple, and it's so pretty. But again, I was like, it definitely didn't go with like the purple blush that I was looking at, but it would have been a perfect highlighter for winter or even the springtime. I definitely could have like pulled it and used it for the next few months, which would have been really nice. The other one that I wanted was Welcome to My Dollhouse, which is a pink highlighter, and you will see another one later, and I was kind of debating between the two, and in the end, I figured that I would have went with this one just because like price-wise, but I still never ended up purchasing it. And then the last one is Late Night Coastin', which I've wanted for a little while as well. But same story. So one of the biggest reasons why I didn't purchase from Gimme Glow is because of the shipping cost. It is ridiculous. Even with such a good discounted sale, like 40% off, it was perfect. Like $11 for a blush, and I think it was like $12 for the highlighter. Like I would have 100% purchased these items. I think the magnetic palette came to like $11. The single eyeshadow, I believe, ended up being like $15, which was, it's not bad, I suppose, but like the shipping cost was minimum like $33. So I still couldn't really justify the full total cost, shipping, taxes, duties, all of that on top of the actual like discounted cost, because it would have cost me just as much to purchase it, or it would have equaled out to be like me purchasing at full price, which kind of defeats the purpose of the sale to me. Like, yes, I would have had to pay all of that extra on top of the regular price, but to me, if I want to purchase something on a sale, I want to get the actual sale discount. And it is so hard when it's international shipping, because a lot of the times, especially with certain brands that end up like you can't get free shipping, or it's like a high amount before you can actually reach that limit, the shipping's just not really worth it, which is unfortunate, but sometimes it is what it is and you can't do much about it. So I did skip on Gimme Glow. I know I've talked about it like in another video like way back about how expensive their shipping was, and that's a big reason on why I don't purchase from them, but I do really enjoy their stuff. I still would love to try these products, so maybe one day in the future I'll just have to like create a little Give Me Glow fund and then use that, and then not feel so guilty about using that extra money for those items. So now that we've chatted about Give Me Glow, let's move on to Udanzai. So I definitely had narrowed down my cart to pretty much nothing. I had started off with quite a few, and 2 of those palettes were the Angelica Nyquist collabs, the Trick or Treat and the Little Ghost. But when I was looking at them, especially with the Little Ghost palette, there was only like 1 or 2 shades that I knew I would actually use. And with the Trick or Treat, the more I was looking at it, the more the color story, like it grabbed me, but I knew that it wasn't going to be a color story I would ever reach for. Sure, it would be nice to have in my collection to have something different, but I knew that like those reds I really wasn't going to use, and there was just no point in me trying to purchase a palette where I wasn't going to use a majority of it. I don't wear a whole lot of green eyeshadow either, and if I do, it's only little bits here and there. So as much as I enjoyed the look of those 2 palettes over her original Hella palette, because I never purchased that one either, I knew I just wasn't going to get the use out of it. So I skipped past those ones. And then I had narrowed it down to a couple of other ones, the Jewels and Gem and the Stone and Rock. I really wanted these palettes for a little while, like since I had seen that they were released. And I think I noticed that they were released like after it had actually happened, after the launch. And I was going back and forth on them, but again, same thing. They're a little bit too deep, a little bit too dark, a little bit not as, like, I wouldn't wear them as much as I would hope I would. I think one of the two. I can't remember which one it is, so I'll put it back up. It's got a lot more of the greens, which I feel like I would probably wear or hope I'd wear a little bit more. The other one's a little bit too deep and dark, but I know that I just wouldn't. So it wouldn't be smart for me to make that purchase. So I decided to finally skip on those ones as well. And then the last two are the new holiday ones. So the Snow Dream and the Hey Reindeer. At first when I saw them, I wasn't quite sure, but seeing them in this format, I really like how it looks. And again, I was like, I don't know if it was really worth it. These ones weren't even included in the sale, so it didn't make a difference whether I bought them during Black Friday or potentially at a later date. But I ended up skipping on it anyways, so that didn't take me too long to decide. So Onsai was, I believe, like the first brand that I decided I just wasn't going to purchase from at all during Black Friday. Next, we have Blend Bunny, and there's two palettes that I've been wanting since I've seen them launch. One is the Sugar and Grunge palette. I love this thing so much. Like, this is like my 90s, like, I Need You. I don't quite know why I didn't end up purchasing from Blend Bunny, not gonna lie. I just never did. I know it was it was just over the Black Friday weekend, so the sale was very short, so maybe I just kind of like forgot and missed it. But the other one was the Sickly Sweet. And when I first originally saw this, and it could be because the shades are all over the place, even though you can't expect the owner to do the same layout for every single palette, and it's totally like, I don't care if it's all out of place or not. But when I had seen, I think it's because there's so many dark shades, and with the dark shades being out of place, it kind of throws me, whereas the layout of, say, the Blends or the Surge palette, I can see the dark shades in there a little more cohesively, opposed to like just all over the place. But the rest of the palette, I would have bought for 100%. And when I saw Annette from Annette's Makeup Corner do a look with it, I like fell in love with a couple of the looks that she did. So like, I wanted it. And like, again, I just never ended up purchasing them. I think maybe because I kind of maybe forgot. I don't even quite know, to be honest. I don't remember, but I am kind of sad that I don't have them, that I never did purchase them. Those are two that I would like to purchase sometime in the future for sure. But unfortunately it just didn't make the cut this time around. Next, we're gonna just chat two highlighters from Fenty. So the first one, I wanted to try the Mean Hustler, and I can't remember the other shade name, the little duo highlighter. It's up here. I've tried the other one, like the lightest one, Lightning Dust and something crystal or something like that. I've completely finished one of those off. This is a shade up from that, I believe, and I've been wanting to try this one, but I just haven't done it either. And I never ended up purchasing it during Black Friday. They did have Fenty 30% off. I think it was on the actual Black Friday day. They had a certain brand like for a couple of days. And yeah, I just never did it. And then the other pink highlighter that I was talking about is What a Brat from Fenty. This is the one that I've been debating. I've really been wanting this one, but I thought that the Gimme Glow one, the Welcome to My Dollhouse, would have been a good like dupe for it, or good enough anyways for me. But essentially what I decided was I was hoping to go with the Gimme Glow one and then like worry about this one later, maybe purchase this one at a later date, and then just never ended up getting either of them. So those were the two Fenty products that I wanted. And then last but not least, the ones that I am probably the most sad about, is there was a duo from Pat McGrath. You could buy the Mothership duo, and the duo was discounted, and then on top of that, the price range that it was in hit 35% off. So the duo that I wanted was the Utopian Dream and the Moonlit Seduction. It would have cost me $175 Canadian, which is the cost of one of those palettes. So it would have been essentially like buy one, get one free, or half price for both of them, however you want to look at it. But in the end, I was like putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. And then the very last day, because I wasn't sure how long the sale was actually going on for, it started before Black Friday and went like up until the first weekend in December. I'm not quite sure what the date was. And I got like an email saying like final hours, blah, blah, blah. And I went to go and it was sold out. And I was so sad because it was sold out. They are still on sale, not for that same price. It is like maybe $20 more, $20 to $30 more, I think right now. The whole website is 30% off. So it is still on sale, but they are still sold out. And I would still be paying like $100 per palette before tax. With the other sale, if I did buy it when I did after tax, I would have paid $100 per palette. This time around, it's at least $100 per palette prior to the tax, and then I don't even want to know what it would be afterwards, and I just can't justify that. So even though like one palette itself is $175, which is just ridiculous to begin with, if you split that in half for both palettes, I believe they came to like about $81 each, which is a little bit more justifiable. Still incredibly expensive, don't get me wrong. I hate spending that much money on eyeshadow palettes. That's why a lot of my higher end brand palettes, like my Natasha Denona palettes or any of those, like my makeup by Mario, well, that one I did pay full price for. But I try to buy them when they go on sale. My Huda Beauty palettes, like whether it's 20% off or sometimes Sephora will have them like 50% off, that's when I will buy those palettes. I don't buy those full price just because I can't justify almost $100 for an eyeshadow palette. It's ridiculous. Like I said before, the pricing of items in Canadian dollars is absolutely ridiculous most of the time. You hear like $70 for this, but then you know it's in American and it's gonna like not quite double, but feel like double the price in Canadian, and it's just not worth it. So that was my missed list. Like I said, that was kind of a little bit more narrowed down from where I had originally began. There was a few eyeshadows that I wanted from Cliona as well. I will just throw up quick pictures of those ones. I wanted Kaleidoscope, and then I also wanted a couple of shades from the Dragon Fruit palette. The palette's no longer available. They sell some of the shades as singles, and I only wanted like a small handful of those ones. But I never ended up purchasing those ones. And that one, they are Canadian, so it would be shipping from Canada. But even at that, I think shipping was like $24. And I was like, nope, we're in the same province. We're like 20 hours away from each other. I'm not paying $24 for shipping. I think when I first bought from Cliona, because I only have one shade from them, shipping was like $12. That was a lot more justifiable. $24? No, thank you. I don't like paying for shipping if I don't have to, but it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And that's just where I'm at right now. Maybe things will change. Maybe I won't mind, later on or whatever. But as of right now, it's Christmas time. Things are a little bit, you know how it is. I just couldn't justify throwing out an extra $24 just for shipping to get it here, especially when I'm telling myself trying not to buy singles, and I don't really need singles. So I'm like, the point would just kind of be like, they would sit there for the most part. I would try to use them, but if you watch my Pan Those Eyeshadows project, I try and rotate a single, or I do rotate a single in every month just to make sure I'm getting use on them, because otherwise they just sit around and hang out, and what fun is that? So that is it. Those were quite a few items, but I ended up not purchasing them, so I saved that money. Obviously it's going elsewhere, but it is what it is. Maybe some point in the future, there's a couple of these items that I definitely want. The 2 palettes from Gimme Glow, and I'm really debating, even though I'm as sad as I am about those Pat McGrath ones, I'm really debating purchasing them in the future. I wanted this duo last Black Friday, and I never bought them. And I told myself, like, next year I would, so that would have been this one, and then I still missed it. So, sorry, I just got a text that distracted me. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about those. I have a couple Pat McGrath, like those mini 6-pan palettes, the older ones. I like them. Don't get me wrong. I definitely like them. I just don't reach for them. So, like, for me to put out $200 plus for the 2 eyeshadow palettes. I just don't know if I can justify the fact that I don't reach for the ones that I already have. You know what I mean? It's a lot of money to throw out on an eyeshadow palette just in general, but to throw it out on a palette that you believe you're gonna use, but you don't know if you're actually going to, I would probably force myself to be completely honest, but oh well. We'll see how it goes. Maybe one day. But anyways, before I keep on rambling, let's just end the video here. So that is it. That's my missed list. Let me know if you have any of these items. Was there anything that you wanted to purchase during Black Friday but you never did? Let me know down below. And do you want any of these items if you don't have them? Let me know your thoughts on them if you do. Should I start a little Give Me Glow fund and a Pat McGrath fund and this and that and not feel so guilty about using that money at some point? I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And we are moving on to day 10. I'll see you guys later. Bye.